Today's video is going to be about my top 20 games, except I didn't choose them. Instead, Cax is going to use Pub Meeple to help me narrow the list down to see what my favorite game of all time is here on Legendary Tactics. So I love this Pub Meeple thing. It's you chose these games, right? I
I
did. I had
did.
no
I
idea what
did.
I'm. These are just games you think I'll like.
This is exactly it. So this top 20, this will be your top 20 list according to the top 20 games I think you should have on it.
I love that idea.
So let's I'm gonna share my screen now.
Yeah,
You
share
have
your
no
screen.
idea, right? You have no idea
I
I'm
have
going
no
into these
idea.
games,
No,
correct?
I
I've
have
not
some
told you
ideas of
anything.
what likely is on there, but
Yeah, you'll probably have one or two notions. But
yes,
here we go.
probably.
We're gonna start right away. Can you see that okay?
I can, yes.
Okay.
So
So
we
your
have,
first choice, Twilight Struggle or Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective?
yeah. Well, that one's Twilight Struggle, obviously.
That's an easy one.
Twilight Struggle, I should say, is probably going to be my number one game. I like Sherlock
Yes.
Holmes, but yeah, it's just I love the tension of a good game of Twilight Struggle.
Oh, it's yeah. There's
Oh,
no other
see, this is a good, interesting comparison because Viticulture I've played way more than Terra Mystica, but
yes, you
I
have.
think Terra Mystica is actually the better game. So
Right.
in terms of like, my favorite game in terms of how it works, I think
This
Terra
is already
Mystica.
starting. But before we making this video, you were very clear with me. You said I'm going to base this judging on the game's mechanics and its overall on and not necessarily, the heartstrings or the emotions and behind it. So
Yes.
this is the first kind of mini test for you because yeah, you've played Viticulture more. So doesn't it get more props?
Yeah, I think Terra Mystica is a better game. It's much more meaty and
Okay.
harder to get to the table, but I think it's a better game.
Oh, now we're gonna go a
Oh,
little
that's an interesting one.
yes, Thunderbolt Apache Leader versus Space Empires 4X.
You know what? I'm probably going to go with Thunderbolt Apache Leader in this way.
Okay.
In that one. I think
Awesome.
Space Empires 4X is awesome. But I'm thinking to give the edge to Thunderbolt. There's kind of some more
Well, I'm
choices and
I'm I'm actually
stuff
that
in
validates because Thunderbolt almost didn't make it on the list. So I'm actually that's validating to me. So thank you.
there.
Okay, now the Quacks of Quedlinburg versus this is one of the dark horses in the game, Black
Yeah.
Forest.
I really enjoy Quacks of Quedlinburg for what it is. It's really fun, but I mean Black Forest has much more strategy, much more meat on those bones. So I'm going to go with Black Forest. I'm very
Okay.
impressed with that one actually.
Awesome. Yes, you were, and that's why I put on this list because you seem to enjoy it.
Yes.
Eclipse versus
Power
Power Grid.
Grid, yes. We really got to get Power Grid back on our
It's a
table at some
great
point
game, and
soon.
it was a gateway game for us.
Yeah, you have that copy, don't you? Or
I
was
do have
that
a copy of
Flash?
it. I do.
Okay,
I do
yeah,
have a
we should
copy. I
really
love
get
it.
that back
That's a great
on the
idea.
table.
We'll get Zach in on the on our in a game maybe.
Yeah, such a good game. I'd have to go with Eclipse, though. Eclipse is such a neat game. I have yet to play Twilight Imperium, but I think Eclipse is just gonna, it's the same idea, but it gets to the table more often. Now,
Exactly. And
it's
here's another
interesting.
battle.
So Twilight Struggle was the game that kind of got me back into the hobby in 2008 or
Yes.
so, 2009. Labyrinth was the second game I bought. So,
Oh, this is one versus two, is it?
yeah, I remember seeing it in a game store and it was closed. I was looking through the window and I was like, is it still
So
there? But Twilight Struggle, I have to go with over that.
absolutely. Okay, and Labyrinth isn't going anywhere.
Yes, Labyrinth is
Sherlock
going to
Holmes.
beat Sherlock
Sherlock
Holmes
Holmes.
Consulting Detective.
Okay, so it is going to
Labyrinth
take
is
a
such a great game.
Oh, now here's one I thought maybe would be a little bit of a surprise for you too. Actually, two surprises
Yep.
potentially.
Axis and Allies, I've got so many good memories with.
Yeah, I
Spirit
know.
Island, I really enjoy, but I still feel like I'm trying to grok that one. Like when I play with my group that plays Spirit Island, I
Yes.
still have to like look at my cards like, is this a good move? Like it's a really, for me, it's just tough to get my mind around, especially with the different spirits.
Ah,
Like
okay.
as far as enjoyment goes, I'd have to go with Axis and Allies more. Like I like Spirit Island, but
Oh, But I thought
Um,
there'd be more meat to the game of Spirit Island. So you're
there
using your
is,
own criteria. Oh
there is, but I'm gonna have to
no!
pick the Axis and
All right.
Allies in this
He's
one.
going with his heart. He's already wavering. Oh, and here's another
Oh, now
battle
this is a
royale.
tough one. This is a tough one.
Yes. Oh,
Because Mr. President is newer, and
and
so
it's come up the ranks for you.
I have played it a fair bit over the last year or so, but it's
Yes.
actually been a few months. I was actually thinking about just setting it up and just giving it another go, actually.
You do love it, but you also
Yeah, I
love
think
Terra
yeah.
Mystica. Oh, I love this battle for you.
Oh my God. You know what? I'm going to go with Mr. President, I think.
Oh,
I
because
think
Terra Mystica was your number
which is
three in a previous
interesting.
video.
Which is interesting because Terra Mystica to me is more like strategy based, which I normally go for, but
Yeah.
oh, that's another good one.
Oh, yeah. No Retreat the Russian Front
That's
versus
still one of
Android
my
Netrunner.
favorite war games of all time.
I know it
Retreat the
is. That's
Russian
what
Front
that's
and Android
now I,
Netrunner.
I I I did waffle a little because there's a number of versions of the Russian of No Retreat.
Yeah,
And so I went with the Russian Front. I know that's the classic, the one that
yeah.
we started on. So
Yeah, I have them all. I'm still waiting chapter five, which is the final one.
oh,
But it's
excellent.
been, I don't know, it's been in development for years now.
Oh
Um,
boy.
you know what though? I mean, Android Netrunner is still, in terms of overall play, like number of plays and everything. I think
Yeah.
Android Netrunner is the
Is gonna win
you
it.
have to win that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thunderbolt Apache Leader versus Squad Leader.
Oh.
Maybe the best Avalon Hill game. According to you, it's your number one.
It is. It is.
But does Apache
Um,
Leader throw it out? Does it dethrone it?
No, you know what? I think I will go with Squad Leader. It's definitely the heavier game, but I think
Okay.
it's got like Thunderbolt Apache Leader is great, but
Okay.
oh man, that is a tough call. That is like two
Now you see
eras.
what I had to go through. Now you see.
It's two different eras.
Yes, yeah, you're
Um,
gonna find this happens a lot too, where it's
yeah. I'm
Puerto
gonna go
Rico versus Dune.
just
And
for
I know Dune has been rising the
nostalgia.
ranks for you too. Dune has come up recently.
Oh yeah, I love Dune Imperium. I think it's a great game. The only thing that makes me mad about Dune Imperium is they came out with the new Dune Imperium Uprising or whatever,
Right,
Dune
right.
Uprising, which
Hmm.
was kind of like a semi reboot, and they're like, "Oh, this is way better than the
Now
original."
you don't need Dune Imperium, right? Yeah.
But I'm like, but I got Dune Imperium. I've
Like 2 months
those
ago.
expansions. Anyway,
So what did you go with? Sorry.
I'm gonna go with Puerto Rico, I think. They're both
Okay.
kind of worker placement, or they, at least I don't know. No, they're different actually. I shouldn't say that.
Okay, now talking about two different games.
Yes. Um, yeah, that is really a tough one because Andean Abyss is still my favorite coin game to play solo. I
Okay.
love playing Andean Abyss solo.
Right.
Black Forest is such a good game.
It's
I'm
really
probably
it's
gonna have
really
to go with
solid.
Andean Abyss though.
Oh, the coin wins it out.
Yeah,
Now
that's
I didn't put multiple because there were other coins I debated, but I'm just gonna stick with your top
yeah.
coin there. So okay, Twilight Struggle versus Eclipse.
I'm still gonna have to go with Twilight Struggle, I think. Eclipse is so great, but
Okay,
Labyrinth
Labyrinth
or
versus
Eclipse.
Eclipse.
Oh, I think the problem is for this one is that I've played so much Labyrinth over the years.
It kind of skews your perspective a little, right?
Well, in a way that I feel a bit kind of burnt out on it, to be honest. Like it's a great game, but I've we've played probably 50 plus games uh,
Yeah.
between
Oh
us,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
and I played it a few other times as well. So I'm going to go with Eclipse because I still feel like I have something to discover there.
Okay, well then Labyrinth versus Power Grid.
Yeah, Labyrinth is going to win this one. I like
Okay.
Power Grid, but Labyrinth
I
is
feel like Power Grid may have been a bad choice. This was actually almost my same reaction when you put it on my list. This is what
yeah,
gave me the thought because you
yeah,
kept talking about how great a game it was, reminding me of it, and then I thought I'm going to make him do the same challenge,
yeah.
and you'll see all.
You know what?
um,
In this case, you have Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective versus Power Grid.
you
I'm gonna
introduced
have,
me to Sherlock Holmes. I remember you giving me the map. You handing me the map in the phone book and said,
yeah,
"Here, let's play this game."
yeah,
So this is
yeah.
your.
I think just from an innovation standpoint, I think Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective is going
Wins
to win
it.
this one. Yeah,
All
to me
right.
that was first time I opened the box. I'm like, this is incredible. how well in that.
And Power Grid tumbles further down the list. Now, Mr. President versus Axel, two radically different games.
Yeah, but obviously Mr. President is the better game overall.
Oh yeah.
Axis Knowledge is fun, but
So then Terra Mystica versus
Terra
Axis
Mystica is the
Knowledge.
better game overall, for sure.
Viticulture versus Axis
Oh,
Allies.
you know what?
Uh-oh.
I have to go with Viticulture on this one. I have a lot of memories with Axis and Allies, but I don't know if it's aged quite as well.
Squad Leader, Android Netrunner.
I think Android Netrunner. That it's
Oh,
tough
Squad
call,
Leader.
but you got to choose one.
No Retreat. Oh, Squad Leader. Now, this is an interesting one. Is it the
Yeah,
old or the cult of the new?
yeah. Well, what I loved about No Retreat, the Russian front, is the low counter density. There's very few
Yes, you
counters.
did.
Squad
You've
leader
often
can
talked about that. Yep.
build up stacks of counters. I think Squad Leader though is the better game over.
Oh
I'd have to say No
boy.
Retreat is amazing. Oh, that's a tough one there. Uh,
Yes, Thunderbolt Apache Leader versus No Retreat.
yeah, you see, I feel like Thunderbolt Apache Leader has more replayability in some ways. No Retreat,
Okay.
Russian Front is I mean it's the same, it's one campaign, one set of, series of battles and so forth, but
Are you telling me it's Thunderbolt Apache Leader?
no, I think I'm gonna go with No Retreat in this case.
Oh,
Yeah. Thunderbolt's
okay.
great, but yeah.
Andean versus Puerto Rico.
Oh, like, that's tough. Very different.
Oh, it is so satisfying watching you kind of hum and haw because I went through the exact same problem.
You know what? I'm gonna take the perhaps the surprising stance. I'll go with Puerto Rico. I love the depth of
Oh,
strategy in that game.
okay.
Dune Imperium or Andean? I think I'd have to say Andean
Andean. Oh,
if
Dune
I had to
tumbles down
pick.
the list. Okay. Oh boy,
Black
these are the
Forest.
one of the newer games that we've actually gotten to the table. So now it's the battle of the cult of the new.
Yeah, Black Forest or Dune Imperium. You know what? I'm probably gonna go with Dune Imperium.
I thought you'd say that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
it's
had a
got
feeling.
more replayability long term. Oh yeah, there you go. The
Oh, here we
classic
go.
choice.
Now, does Mr. President have the legs to dethrone Twilight Struggle?
Uh, no, I'm gonna if there's anything that it maybe is a bit hard about or not disappointing, but Mr. President is it is a longer game. It is harder to
Oh
get to
yeah.
the table, and
Yeah.
that's fine. But Twilight Struggle has a certain elegance in that you can do an entire Cold War in about an hour to 2 hours, maybe at
Sure.
most.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm
Where
gonna go with Twilight
you're
Struggle.
getting warmed up in 2 hours with Mr. President, right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just you've done your first year of your 8 year
Yeah,
presidency.
that's right. So you're going with Twilight Struggle.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Well, Mr. President versus
Ah,
Eclipse.
again, I think Mr. President has more depth of the one thing I worry about Eclipse is that long-term replayability.
Mm.
Um, in the sense that it is kind of the same game every time. Like you start off in the outer galaxies and you move into the center to defeat the big baddie in the center, and then you fight
Right.
each other and stuff. I'm going to say Mr. President has got the edge here.
Mr. President takes out
Yeah.
Eclipse. Okay. What about Terra Mystica versus Eclipse?
Mm, that again is tough.
That's the idea,
I
Nato.
know, I
That's the
know.
idea. I love it.
I'd love that, and for those of you watching along, I'd love to hear your thoughts if you would disagree with me on any of these. But I feel like it has to be Terra Mystica again, just for the long-term replayability and
Okay.
everything
That's
that
what we have to get to the table more.
it is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we've only played a couple games, and I'd love to get a little more into that one with you.
Yes, yes. I think
Viticulture versus Eclipse.
Eclipse beats Viticulture for sure. They serve different roles on my shelf, but and
Oh, now
Labyrinth I think beats
here's a bit
Viticulture.
of a puzzle.
Yeah, I think Labyrinth is the better game. Again, Viticulture fits a very important niche on my shelf in that it's one I can pull down and play with pretty much anybody, and everyone has a good time. Labyrinth is a
Okay.
very specialized
Yeah,
thing, but
yeah, it is, but it's better. You said right.
yeah,
Okay,
Sherlock Holmes versus
Sherlock versus Viticulture.
Um, Again, I love the innovation of Sherlock Holmes. In terms of the ones that I'll get to the table more, I would say viticulture. I mean, viticulture has more strategy, obviously, but
Yeah, for
I
sure.
love the innovation of Sherlock Holmes.
Well, it's kind of like cooperative versus,
Yeah,
everyone's for themselves, right?
competitive.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
competitive. So you said viticulture,
I'm gonna go with viticulture. Yeah.
Axis and Allies versus Sherlock Holmes.
Jeez. See, Axis and Allies was
Nostalgia.
yeah, I know, and it was an amazing game for its time. But in terms of, but it's funny, Sherlock Holmes actually originally came out around the same time. They're both
Oh, really?
games
I
of the
did
sort of
not know
that
that.
mid,
Okay.
early to mid 80s.
Huh.
Not the Thames murders and other cases
Yeah, yeah,
specifically,
yeah,
but
yeah. Then there's also Jack the Ripper that came out, I think.
yeah, but the original came out. So they're very much of the same age. I'm gonna just give I just in terms of design overall, I'm going to say Sherlock Holmes because I just feel Axis and Allies has
Okay.
not stood the test of time.
Power Grid versus Axis and
Jeez.
Allies.
That's such a weird comparison.
We've already hit a few, and you'll get more,
Yeah,
don't worry.
it's one thing to compare, Labyrinth and Twilight Struggle or something like that, but
Yeah. Two
but
very different games.
Axis and Allies versus Power Grid. Uh, I may I may have to go with Power Grid on this one.
Power Grid takes it out.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Netrunner, Puerto
Puerto
Rico.
Rico. Yeah. See, here's the thing. The way I almost see that, it's like if Android's number two, Puerto Rico's number three on the list. So I'm
So
gonna have to go with Android, but it's super close.
it's tight. Yeah. Puerto Rico versus Squad Leader.
Again, such different games. Uh
I know. I know. That's actually part of what makes this list exceptionally challenging to figure out,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or this system, this Pub Meeple, but I think it really does do a great job of rating.
Yes. Oh, I think it's great. I'm gonna go with Squad Leader. Again, I think just the variety and the
Okay.
endless replayability.
Well, we're at completely different games. No
Yeah,
retreat
again,
versus
it's
Puerto
very
Rico.
similar in comparison. I'm going to choose Puerto Rico in this case, just because I think, yeah, I mean, no retreat's awesome, but
Okay, now speaking of
uh,
apples and apples, this is a little more,
yeah. See, I've played Indian Abyss way more than No Retreat, the Russian Front.
but that's not your criteria.
No, it's not. Which is the better game?
But it is pulling on your heartstrings. I can see it.
Which is the better game? Because you've also got the
Oh,
aspect of Indian being a four-player asymmetrical, game.
right. Where it's 1v1, right? No retreat,
Yeah, 1v1.
but
Um,
low counter density.
yeah, I might take No Retreat. I don't know. They're very tied, but
Oh,
I'm gonna
coin
go with that
dumb.
one.
All right. Well, what about Thunderbolt versus Andean?
Uh, Thunderbolt
Does
versus
does Thunderbolt
Indian.
also rise above?
See, it's one of those things where I think like Thunderbolt I think is way better than say Cuba Libre in the coin series.
Oh, I know. That's why I didn't give
But
you Cuba Libre.
but Andean, geez,
So Thunderbolt is better than some coin, not all coin, or maybe
yeah.
all coin. This is because I think this is your number one coin, right?
Well, no, I think Fire in the Lake is the best game, or maybe even a Distant Plane is my favorite of the coin series. Indian Abyss is very high up there, mainly for the solo experience. I think I've had
Okay.
so much fun with the solo game there. I'm going to
Okay.
choose Thunderbolt Apache Leader, though, I think in this case,
Okay. Thunderbolt.
or
Space
Space
Empires
Empires.
Forex versus Indian.
Yeah, so um, Indian Abyss or Space Empires. Um, I'm going to pick Andean, I think.
Indian. Okay, the coin game wins it
Yeah,
out. All right, what about Dune Imperium versus Space Empires?
yeah.
Again, I mean, I guess we're both in outer space here.
We're both in outer space. One of them's worker placement. One of them's more kind of straight ahead
4X, right?
war game. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I think just I think I'm gonna pick Dune Imperium just because I think I've gotten into it. It's just kind of maybe because it's more my game of the moment.
Well, speaking
Okay,
of
I'm gonna
game of the
take Space
moment,
Empires over Black Forest though.
okay, Black Forest can only go so far. Oh, here it is, the showdown.
The
Has
final question. As I said, I think I have to pick Twilight Struggle over
just
Android, although it is
out of
tough.
duty.
They're
Yeah, these two are tough. Android or Mr.
oh,
President?
Android or Mr. President.
Does Mr. President rise any ranks here?
It does, but Android still, I think it's got to be up there. Android's going to be my pick for that one.
Okay. Squad leader versus Mr. President.
In terms of, I think I'm going to pick Mr. President just because I find it easier to like to run as a game. Squad Leader, there's a lot of rules checking. It's an amazing game, but
Okay. Mr.
Squad Leader
President
over
takes it.
Terra Mystica, that one has both of them have really high replayability and
Hmm.
really good depth. I'm going to
What's
go with Squad Leader on this one though, I think.
Oh, Terra
Yeah,
Mystica was your number three. I think yeah, at one
that
point
was your, yeah.
it was third place for you. So
Oh,
that's
Puerto Rico
interesting.
or Terra Mystica. That's a tough one. I think I'm going to go Terra.
Terra Mystica takes it. Okay.
And
Puerto Rico
Eclipse. Didn't we
versus
get this one
Eclipse.
already?
See, it starts to like blend like that. You're like, oh,
Uh,
oh.
I'm going to
I had
go
the
with Puerto Rico, I think.
Okay. No Retreat versus Eclipse.
Let's see. I think I'm going to go with Eclipse actually on this one.
Oh boy.
They're
Okay, what
both
about here we go. Labyrinth
Labyrinth,
versus No Retreat.
GMT versus GMT.
Yes.
Um, I'm going to go with No Retreat on this one, I think. I love Labyrinth, but I mean, I guess if I have to choose,
Thunderbolt Apache
yeah,
versus Labyrinth. Oh, these are all
geez.
like we both played a lot of these games,
Yeah.
and we've had some good fun with these both.
Um, that is a really tough call. Because I love them both, but for different reasons. I mean, I guess in terms of, the level of gameplay, especially since are we looking at the expansions for Labyrinth as well, or just the base game?
You can look at it any way you want. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
would say
guess so.
you can add it in if you want the expansions,
Because as I
sure.
said, I feel like the original base game, I'm not totally like burnt out on it, but it feels a bit that way. Whereas
Yeah.
Thunderbolt Apache Leader has still got a lot. Maybe I'll choose Thunderbolt Apache Leader.
All right. Uh, ooh,
Andean
Andean
versus
versus
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Again, I mean, they're almost,
Two GMTs again. We can see
yeah,
where you have a little bit of a soft spot for the GMT.
but also they're both involving insurgencies and that sort of thing. So,
Yep. Yep. Now
jeez.
one's a two-player though. One's up to four.
Yeah, I
Labyrinth
think
is two-player.
I'll go with the Andean on this one because I like
Okay.
the four-player asymmetrical play and
Okay.
Dune Imperium versus Labyrinth. If I had to play one or the other, which one would I choose? If I had to play one or the other, I'd probably choose Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
on that one.
Dune versus Viticulture.
For me, Dune Imperium. But again, Viticulture is perfect for the lighter gamer. But Dune Imperium, I think, it's just more interesting
Okay. Speaking of
overall.
interesting, Space Empires 4X.
Yeah, I think Space
Viticulture.
Empires has to be better than Viticulture.
Black Forest versus Viticulture.
See, this is the thing. So the group that I would play Black Forest with is a game that is the group that loves Viticulture, so I can see them really
These
being
are kind of I
both.
feel like these are similar-esque kind of games.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily in the game mechanic or like gameplay, but they just feel like they have a certain, I guess, maybe in their complexity levels. Like
I
they're,
think they fit a very similar niche, to
yeah,
be honest. Um, I think probably, jeez. And again, Viticulture is a game I've probably played out a fair bit.
yeah, you have.
I'm going to say Black Forest, just for the innovation of the wheels.
Oh, well, what about the Quacks of Quedlingberg versus Viticulture?
I love them both, but if I had to choose viticulture, it'd have to be the one.
Okay. Sherlock Holmes versus the Quacks.
Yikes. That's a bit of a different one.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, I love Quacks, but I'd probably go with Sherlock Holmes. Just I love the story it tells there.
Okay. Quacks versus Power Grid.
Um, Jeez. That is again, that's a tough call. For me, what makes Quacks like obviously the push your luck thing is great, but I love where you spend and improve the ingredients in your bag and
Yes.
pick the the improvement. But Power Grid as well, you're upgrading your power stations, you have to manage your
Yep.
fuel.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
The different fuel types.
yeah. I'll go with Power Grid, I think.
Okay. Quacks versus Axis and Allies.
I'll go with Axis and Allies for the nostalgia.
Oh no, Quacks is dropping like Spirit Island versus
Oh,
Quacks.
Spirit Island has not come up except
No.
once before. I would probably say I just find Quacks maybe a bit more like easy to get into and enjoyable. I like Spirit Island, but even after many games, I still find it very hard to kind of figure out what your
So
best
you're going
moves
with
are. I would say
Quacks
I'll go
then.
with Quacks, yeah, if I had to choose. Oh, and there's the
And the
list.
list is in.
So let's
Let's
see.
see here. We have Twilight Struggle, Android Netrunner. Mr. President is turned to
Number
number
three,
three.
interesting.
Squad Leader number
Number
four, and
four.
Mystica all the way down to five.
Yeah, I
Puerto
thought Pure
Rico.
Mystica would have been in fourth, or maybe even third. I thought Mr. President may have been fifth.
Wow.
Then we got
Any
six
surprises there in NATO for
Puerto
you?
Rico, seven Eclipse, eight No Retreat, nine Thunderbolt
Thunderbolt,
Apache
it
Leader.
makes your top 10. Oh, and
Yeah.
Andean rounds out the top 10. So now here's interesting. Looking outside on the from to looking at from the outside in, because this is like beyond your
Yeah.
top 10, you got Labyrinth, Dune Imperium, Space Empires 4X, Black Forest, Viticulture, Sherlock Holmes, Power Grid, Axis and Allies, Quacks of Quedlinburg, and Spirit Island. Any of those surprises to you were like, oh, they could have maybe made my list if you had been,
In terms of top 10,
yeah,
I would say
or no?
Labyrinth and Andean are probably really interchangeable.
Okay.
Dune
Okay.
Imperium, I thought might have been in there.
That
The other
that that one's
ones,
surprised because you've talked very highly of it lately. And so I thought that's why I put that one in your list.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of my favorite games at the moment.
But
So
it's knocking at the door, like 12. It's not that far out, right? So if
yeah,
to rethink things, and but this is what the purest head to head has given you.
yeah.
Any glaring omissions though, NATO? I mean, obviously, I think I picked the wrong one for Andy and Abyss. It sounds like I should have gone with a different coin.
Well, Fire in the Lake would have been maybe a like a better option of a coin game.
Okay,
Um, I mean, Spirit Island, I don't think would normally be on my top 20. It's probably why it finished last. Again, it's a great game, but just one that I've kind of struggled with.
right.
Um, I wonder if a game like Kemet or
Kemet, one
Kemet,
of Flash's
yeah,
favorites.
yeah,
Interesting.
I like Kemet. I think it's a great game.
Okay.
Or maybe one of the maybe it was something like Churchill or something like that could have been in there
Oh,
too.
of course,
Yeah.
Churchill. I did forget about Churchill.
Instead of like Quacks of Quedlinburg and Spirit Island, like I probably wouldn't have
Yeah,
named those in my top 20. Power Grid, I wouldn't have. So,
right.
if you
Okay.
switch that, I would say, I don't know, maybe Churchill and
No, like Settlers of Catan or
no, Settlers wouldn't be on there, but
not for you. Okay.
yeah, but I don't know. I think like there's some
Carcassonne.
yeah,
No?
Carcassonne, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
No, but there's a few there that I think like I'll put it this way: the top 10 sound about right out of those 20 games. That sounds about right in terms of the order's a little bit maybe what I wouldn't
You
have
wouldn't
expected.
necessarily reshuffle yourself, right?
Yeah, but the games in the bottom 10, with the exception of Labyrinth and Andean Abyss, which I consider to be kind of interchangeable, are kind of that's probably about right, I would say.
Okay.
Dune Imperium might have popped into the top 10 maybe, but other than
That's the
that,
one I thought maybe would make it in. Yeah, that was
yeah.
a newer one that we've been having
Yeah.
some fun with. So.
So that's good.
All right. Well, hope you enjoyed this list. And if you get a chance, try out Pub Meeple for yourself. You can put as many games in as you want, and it will do the head-to-head that you just saw here with NATO's list. So,
Yes. Thanks so much for putting it together, Cax.
oh, you bet it was a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed it.
And don't forget to get out there
Yeah, gaming,
and be
be
legendary.
legendary. Oh, you want to try that again?
And don't forget to get out there
Get gaming
and
and
be
be
legendary.
legendary.